بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا خيرة خلق الله ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة ورحمة الله وبركاته. Together we remember and send our salutations to Abu Abdullah Al-Hussain and his family. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته، والسلام على التسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Sisters and brothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. We have been talking about the challenges faced by the community, and we described on the first night the real Hussaini community. And one of the essential components of a real Hussaini community is one which knows how to have a dialogue, knows how to debate one another. You see, our Imams were engaging their time mostly in ibadah, but also in debating individuals who were interested to follow the religion of Islam. So they used to spend a long time sitting down with individuals who had questions. But what they did was they showed us the real and the best way to actually have a dialogue and have a debate with those individuals. Yes, we have many instances in the history where we see that the etiquette they used to actually have that dialogue was something that our community should learn from. But today, inshallah, I'm going to go in depth into certain areas which, inshallah, will benefit the community into how to also communicate with one another. So the structure of the talk today, with your permission, inshallah, is as follows. One is we will find what is actually the problem here. Why are we talking about the style of debating and dialogue? Why is this such an important thing in our community? Next thing is we'll talk about what is the difference between dialogue and debate. Also, what does the Holy Quran talk about debate? You know, are there verses in the Holy Quran that actually talk about debate? And why do people debate? Why do people in fact argue? What's the point of actually debating? We'll then talk about the formal and informal debates, the etiquettes also of a dialogue, right? Dialogue between a husband and wife. What is the best way the husband and wife for them to actually have a dialogue, have a particular conversation? Dialogue between parents and children. What are the best ways to do that as well? So, inshallah, we'll try to cover all these particular aspects, and at the end, inshallah, we'll try to summarize the talk, inshallah. We'll begin with a very loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So what's the problem here? So unfortunately in our communities, as far as we have examined, we can see that we lack the correct skills and etiquettes when we debate each other and when we have a dialogue with each other. So let me give you an example. So, you know, as Iraqis, we went through the Iraq War, for example, in 2003, didn't we, right? And some of us were with the war, right? You know, we were supporting the war, and some of us were against the war. And when you had that particular debate amongst individuals at home or in the community, it was getting, you know, it gets a bit heated up. Certain individuals have this opinion that they're very, they feel very passionate about their opinion, so therefore it actually shows in their style of debating, in their style of having a dialogue. And forgive me, I'm mixing the debate and dialogue now for a reason. Inshallah, we'll try to split them and find the difference. But for the sake of argument, we'll put them together for the time being. Also, importantly, about, for example, certain people are passionate about which marja' they follow. Okay? So my marja' says, no, it's okay to do tatbir, for example. But no, you know, it's, my marja' says, no, it's not okay for me to do tatbir. For example, tatbir is self-flagellation, yes? And it's quite a topic that comes and people discuss this during Muharram. And you find that people who, from either side, people who are for and people who are against are passionate, really passionate about the belief that, yes, you can do tatbir or you can't do tatbir. So you find clashes, you find fights, people have actually physical fights perhaps, or they have, they try to insult each other, etc. Right? We don't know the etiquettes of having a good dialogue, a good conversation. There is no harm in actually having a different point of view. In fact, it's encouraged, yes? Everyone has a specific style of thinking. Everyone has been brought up in a different environment. So therefore, maybe your opinion is shaped differently to another person. So therefore, when we examine the situation, we find that even between members of the same family, you find this debate. And one of the biggest controversies that happens every single year is what? Is the Eid. When is Eid, right? And you find members of the same family who are fasting on that day, and the others are not fasting. And then they have a debate or they have a dialogue. And then, in fact, some of them might actually, you know, cause certain issues. Why are you not following this? You should follow this. But the main thing is, my brothers and sisters, and I find that quite widespread in the community, is that many people think that they're experts in everything. Yeah? And when you speak to them about a particular issue, especially if it's an Islamic issue, they must have an opinion about it. Even if they haven't thought about it, they'll make up an opinion. But because of the three-letter word, which is what? Which is the ego, isn't it? Because of the ego, right, it's difficult for me to actually, even if I've been proven wrong, I actually say I am wrong. Very difficult, extremely difficult. Yeah? Because of that three-letter word. So, inshallah, we'll try to examine these issues and give solutions, inshallah. And when we actually have a uncomfortable debate or dialogue, I would say, it increases in hate and decreases in respect, doesn't it? It increases in disrespect. So between a husband and wife, when they have a particular issue, perhaps I had a particular case where a husband, right, said, you shouldn't take my children to the restaurant during the first days of Muharram, first 10 days of Muharram, right? To celebrate a particular birthday, right? But the wife said, no, what's wrong with that? We're not just going to celebrate. We're going to sit down and have a meal and maybe a cake. That's okay, right? Then these differences of opinions, it all depends on how we actually lay out the opinion and what are the etiquettes. If I am so passionate about my view, and I'm going to make sure, because of my ego, as a husband, I'm going to make sure that she has to accept that because I'm the father here, okay? And my word is the final word. But she also has an ego, yeah? And she'll also present her argument, side of the argument, with passion as well. So then there becomes a friction between the two in front of the kids, in front of the children, okay? So there's lots of examples, and you know what I'm talking about. And I think every single person here, even the kids, have been involved in debates and involved in specific dialogues, either with their friends, with their parents, or in the community. So it increases hate. You know, people start to hate each other, and this four-letter word, which is interesting, and inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us an opportunity, we're going to highlight the issue that I am trying to spread, and we spoke about this in Q&A last time, is that I don't think we should hate anyone. As Muslimin, we shouldn't hate anyone who is alive or dead, right? Because this is not our religion. Hate is a social construct. But inshallah, in the next few days, inshallah, we'll try to touch on this in more detail. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I think we need a very loud salawat. Ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So what's the difference between dialogue and debate? In the introduction, I've sort of mixed it up, didn't I? But let's try to be a bit more scientific and try to find the difference between debate and dialogue. And there are around 3 or 4 differences described here. So debate, it assumes there is a right answer, okay? So let's give an example. So for example, organ donation. This is something that is quite controversial in the community, right? So I come in, I am very much for organ donation, and X, right, is very much against organ donation and say, no, we can't give our organs to the non-Muslims. And I say, well, you can give more organs to Muslims, etc. Right? It's just an example. So I have, if we are actually having a debate, me and X, if we're having a debate, I'm going to assume I have the right answer, 100%. I'm not going to accept their answer. I'm not going to accept their answer. I don't care whatever proof they give me. There is nothing in my head that will accept that answer, that organ donation is not, shouldn't really happen. I'm all for organ donation. I don't care what proof you'll give me. Yeah? For the same thing for him as well, or her, right? They'll do the same thing. They'll say, look, I'm not accepting anything. You can't do organ donation, right? So there's no leeway, right? It's we debating about a particular topic. In a dialogue, if we are actually having a dialogue between me and X, we're assuming that assumes that many people have pieces of the answer and that together they can craft a solution. We're actually having a dialogue where maybe I am wrong about organ donation, and maybe that he will give me something that I didn't know before. So maybe I will change my mind. There is a possibility I will change my mind, okay? And there's a possibility he will also change his mind. So therefore we engage in a dialogue where maybe we can teach each other something. But of course I still have that particular opinion, but I'm a bit more open-minded, so to speak. Yeah, is that clear? In debate, no, you got to prove them wrong. In dialogue, well, there is leeway. Yes? In debates, it entails listening to find flaws and make counter-arguments. Yeah, because it's my view. I really think organ donation should happen. So I'm going to make sure I find some mistakes in your argument and put a counter-argument in there. Right? In dialogue, no, it entails listening to understand and find meaning and agreement. Yeah? It's quite powerful, but you know, sometimes we don't really understand which one we're doing. Well, are we actually having a debate between, if me and my wife are sort of talking about something, are we actually having a debate here or are we actually having a dialogue, right? It all depends on the style we're talking about and whether our egos are extremely high. So we're not accepting each other's opinion whatsoever. So therefore, it's probably a debate. Debate, I defend my assumptions as truth. It's 100% truth. You know, I can't accept otherwise. Organ donation has to be allowed. Okay, I can't accept otherwise. The same thing for the other person. The dialogue is I defend my assumptions as truth, true. It's the same thing. However, I reveal my assumptions for re-evaluation because there is a possibility I'm wrong. Yeah. And finally, in debate, I search for weaknesses in other positions. In dialogue, I search for strength and value in other positions. So I think it's very clear that in debate, you have two sides of opinion, right? And each side are very much, thinking that this is the truth and I'm going to defend it till I die, right? And there's no leeway. Whereas the dialogue, yes, I have a particular view, but there is leeway. There could be a possibility I can change my mind, okay? So let's just talk about debating for a bit and leave dialogue till later, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So what does the Holy Quran? I'm going to show you a few verses from the Holy Quran that talks about debating, and then also we're going to give examples of how powerful debating can be, right? I know I portrayed a slightly negative view of debating. This is because debating can be viewed as negative, right? But if we do it in the right way and we have the right etiquettes for a debate, then it can be very powerful. Yes? And this is the way of our Imams and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so the first verse we narrated at the start of this talk in chapter 16, verse 125. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'idati al hasana." So he says, call to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with wisdom, al hikmah. So when you speak to people, when you're having a debate with an individual, when you have that debate, use wisdom, right? And also goodly extortion. So therefore, it's a style, it's a manner, it's a specific manner that you have to have while you're having that particular debate. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, and have a dialogue with them in the best possible way. Yeah? You gotta have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, when you are having this dialogue or this debate between those individuals, those people who are kuffar, those people who do not believe in the religion, have it in the best possible way. Yeah? Which means what? It means having a beautiful akhlaq. And we'll talk about the etiquettes of actually speaking. And you gotta try to think about the debates that you've had before. Either if it's at work or if it's at university, right? Or if you're a student at college, right? And even if you have debates at home, if you have debates in the community, right? What were your etiquettes in having those debates? And by the way, don't trivialize debates and dialogues, right? Because you subconsciously have a lot of debates and dialogues. Perhaps it's informal debates, right? But you don't know. And trying to master the style of debating can be extremely powerful for you, especially psychologically, and especially for the youth, when they know that I can master this debate in the best possible way, it gives them a huge advantage psychologically as well. Next verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُجَادِلُوا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. And he's giving them a command, a straight command. He says, don't debate the followers of the book, أهل الكتاب, except by what is best. إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Again, the etiquettes. Allah is commanding. He says, I don't want you to lose your temper when you're having a debate. I don't want you to insult the other if you're having a debate, right? I want you to use that particular akhlaq, the beautiful akhlaq of the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to actually transfer that particular knowledge that you have in the best possible way. This is very interesting. A verse in the Quran that talks about the man's right of defense before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Did you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us an opportunity? It's like a court case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us an opportunity in Yawm al-Qiyamah while we're standing waiting for the verdict. He gives us that particular verdict, but we have the right to appeal. Right to actually make a statement and say, oh Allah, I tried to do this, but it didn't happen, or I did this and I did that. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يَوْمَ تَأْتِي كُلُّ نَفْسٍ تُجَادِلُ عَن نَفْسِهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the day when every soul shall come arguing for itself or debating for itself. Yeah, it comes and says تُجَادِلُ عَن نَفْسِهَا. It says, no, that can't be true. I didn't do this. There's an opportunity for you to speak. Allah will give you the opportunity to say, yes, it's judgment day. Yes, they'll reveal all those possibility, all the stuff that you have committed and all and perhaps reveal your fate, but it gives you an opportunity to actually perhaps complain and say, oh Allah, please forgive me, or oh Allah, I tried to do this, but it didn't happen that way. Yes? Not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't know, of course, but He perhaps wants you to actually express. Perhaps He wants you that last time to actually really ask Him for forgiveness. And He will perhaps change the fate, if the fate is not good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dialogue with the angels and the shaitan. This is really interesting, my brothers and sisters. And by the way, let's not trivialize this again. Let's not say that, oh yeah, okay, this is how the Quran is. No, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown, and I'll show you through these verses, that is so powerful, the way He had a dialogue. This is Allah has a dialogue with the angels, with the shaitan. Yes? Whereas when I come in, and perhaps someone who's slightly elder than me, no, I know better than you do. Yeah, we sometimes trivialize what the youth say, because perhaps the elders will say, no, I know better than you in this particular case. Perhaps so, but listen to me. Maybe there is a particular point of view that you haven't thought about it. Yeah? So we try to respect people's point of view, whatever age there is. And also vice versa. Right? Certain youth think they know everything. They know it all. They're the 21st century, millennium, whatever, or millennials. Millennials think they know it all, don't they? Right? And some of the elders will think, okay, at least listen to me. I have a particular opinion as well. Yeah? It's all about respecting the other side. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, chapter Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 30, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told the malaika, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. I'm going to place on earth a khalifa. قَالُوا. Then He gave the opportunity for who? For the angels to speak, didn't He? Right? Otherwise, Allah would have said, look, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. That's it. No more. I'm not listening. I don't want to hear what you say. But He gave them an opportunity to speak, which shows that He'll inshallah give us an opportunity to speak also on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Right? But some of us won't give each other an opportunity to speak. Especially maybe the parents won't even give an opportunity for the kids to speak. No, do this. Well, no. Why are you laughing? Maybe their dads are like that. قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك. They said, are you going to put this human being as the Khalifa on earth, right? And we have been worshipping you all that time, and this Khalifa is going to cause so much bloodshed on this earth. They've expressed their opinion, and they were a bit, it seems like it's an opinion that has been thought for a long time, and it's an opinion that they're passionate about. And they said, perhaps, you need to put a Khalifa on earth that is a bit like us, that not them, they become the Khalifa, but a Khalifa that is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every time and is obedient to Allah. Not those human beings that are going to go and kill each other, which is true, by the way. We have come to earth and we are killing each other, right? So they were right. But they said, why are you going to put these khulafa in there? right? They're not so good. But he gave them the opportunity to speak, right? And of course, this verse has a lot of interesting stuff, but we're trying to just focus on the issue of dialogue here. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then replied. Remember, this is a debate. He said, you know, he allowed them to speak, right? قَالَ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And of course, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, I know best. And then he proved to them that he knows best. Later on, after a few verses after that. Interestingly, Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam there's lots of instances of him having a dialogue or a debate in the Holy Quran. And this particular one is with his father. He says, Ya abati, this is a really interesting one. I don't want to, it's quite a long few verses, so I've just taken the first and the last verse. Ya abati inni qad ja'ani. So he came to his dad, right? Some of the mufassirin say, no, it's his uncle. Some say, no, it's his father. But let's just say abati. It's called abati. Ya abati inni qad ja'ani min al-ilmi ma lam ya'tika fattabi'ni ahdika siratan sawiya. Right? Oh my father, I've got this knowledge, right, that has come to me and it hasn't come to you. But what I want you to focus is the etiquettes of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. I'm going to give you a few verses. Just notice at the etiquettes and think about yourself. Are you actually someone who follows that particular etiquette of debating? I will guide you on the right path. And then a few verses after that, so this was verse 43, and a few verses, he kept on continuously saying, Ya abati, ya abati, ya abati. Notice how he talks to his father or uncle. He says, Ya abati, with a beautiful, the style that he speaks to him. Not like, oh dad, whatever. But it's a lovely style of saying, Ya abati, with absolute respect to his father or uncle, right? He says, Ya abati, ya abati, three or four verses, Ya abati. But look at the reply of his father. Look at the style of his father. He says, قَالَ أَرَاغِبٌ أَنْتَ عَنْ آلِهَتِي يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ. Right? Remember, Ibrahim called him Ya Abati, and then his father called him Ya Ibrahim. The tone of this verse is quite hostile. The style he spoke to Ibrahim was very quite hostile. لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهِ لَأَرْجُمَنَّكَ وَاحْجُرْنِي مَلِيًّا. Just leave me alone, right? If you don't leave me, I will certainly revile you, and leave me for a time. Just leave me alone, right? It was the hostile style of speaking, and perhaps resonates with certain individuals. When you speak to them, they get quickly angry. They know it all. If they're losing that debate or that dialogue, they just say, no, just leave me alone. No, you're not right, blah, blah, blah. Gets to a fight, and then they don't talk to each other. Yeah? But then look at what Ibrahim said after that. If someone speaks to you like this, then perhaps you get angry. But the beautiful way of Ibrahim, he said, قَالَ سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكِ. Yeah? سَأَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكَ رَبِّي إِنَّهُ كَانَ بِي حَفِيًّا. He said, peace be upon you. I will pray to my Lord to forgive you. Yes, it reminds me of this beautiful story of when an individual came to one of our imams, and he started insulting him, absolutely insulting him, right? And if someone was come to you or I, perhaps if they start to insult us and insult our father and insult etc., then perhaps some of us will insult them back. But what did the imam say? He said to them, this particular individual, he said, if you are right about me, all these insults, if you are right about me, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me. And if you are wrong about me, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive you. That's a beautiful reply. Quite powerful, isn't it? Right? To try to diffuse the situation. Yeah? And this is the same thing. Look at Ibrahim alayhi salam. He says, we got all these gems, but we're not really learning from. Yeah? قال سلام عليك سأستغفر لك ربي إنه كان بي حفيا. And also Ibrahim alayhi salam, he's the master of debating. Yeah? If you want the master of debating in the Quran, you go and look at Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Ibrahim alayhi salam here with Numrud, the king of that time. Yeah? And he came to him, he said, ألم تر إلى الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه أن آتاه الله الملك إِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّيَ الَّذِي يُحْيِي وَيُمِيتُ. He told Namrud, he said, my Lord gives life to dead. And then Namrud said, قَالَ أَنَا أُحْيِي وَأُمِيتُ. He said, no, look at the style. He said, أَنَا أُحْيِي وَأُمِيتُ. So what did Namrud do? He brought a person from the prison, right? And he released him. He said, look, I've released him. I've given him life because he was like dead. I've given him life now, right? So you see, it's very interesting how Nabi Ibrahim then reacted to this. He didn't want to look, that's silly, that's stupid what you've done. You haven't even given him life. You've just released him from prison. He didn't go into that, right? It's sometimes you just got to let things go. There's no point, because if someone gives you a ridiculous answer, people know, because that was in front of people. He gathered people around. People know. Okay, that's a stupid, not sensible, a silly answer. But then what's interesting, he says, قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْتِي. See, the way that Ibrahim destroyed him in the debate. The way like some people, like when you see debates, they just destroy them. The way Ibrahim destroyed Nimrud in the debate. He said, okay, all right, if you can bring back those people who are dead, bring them back to life through releasing them from prison, bit silly, but there you go. But what does my Lord also do? My Lord also يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأتي بها من المغرب. He told him, my Lord brings the sun, right, from the west. So why don't you bring it from the east? Or from the south, right? Why don't you do it? فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. He just gave up. He couldn't. So he destroyed him, absolutely destroyed him with that particular argument. So that was a powerful debate. Then this particular conversation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with Ibrahim. And by the way, this particular verse, I argue that, a slightly different topic, that it's okay for people to actually question the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's actually okay for people to ask fundamental questions that you believe that, oh yeah, my kids should actually know this. So for example, if someone comes and says, prove to me the existence of Allah, that's okay, let them ask these questions. Why when I say this? It's because look at Ibrahim alayhi salam. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّي أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Nabi Ibrahim, he told Allah, oh Allah, show me how you bring back the dead. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. Don't you believe? قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. I do believe, but I just want my heart to be a bit more tranquil. Yeah, it will be at rest. So then he showed him with that particular bird, you chop it into put it in 4 different mountains and call it to come together. Yeah. But what's interesting in this particular topic, you can notice the green here is Ibrahim and the blue is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking. You see, both of them is qal. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings himself down to the level of Ibrahim and he talks to him at the same level. When we're talking about the youth talking to the elders, yeah, bring yourself down. When you see here the green, it says, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ. Right? Ibrahim has said. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also said قَالَ. Here, قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He didn't say قُلْنَا, which has a bit more power. Like, Allah said, I said. But he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says قَالَ, describing himself, the same thing with Ibrahim alayhi salam. But then again, if you don't believe me in that, look at this beautiful verse. In chapter 7, verses 11 and 12. The first verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ. So we have created you, right? And then we have instructed the malaika. It says قُلْنَا in Arabic. Then the next verse, he's talking to the shaitan. And you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also came down to the level of the shaitan. And he says, قَالَ مَا مَنَعَكَ. Yeah, can you see this or not? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَالَ. He didn't say, قُلْنَا مَا مَنَعَكَ. Because the shaitan then said, قَالَ أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِنْهُ خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, why didn't you prostrate to Adam? قال ما منعك ألا تسجد إذ أمرتك. And then also he says قال. So they both do قال. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came down to the level of the shaitan as well. Do you get that? Yes? صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. So now we've looked at various verses of the Holy Quran that talk about debating and dialogue. Let's focus on the question here: why do people debate or even argue? What's the point? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in the Holy Quran, وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَجَعَلَ النَّاسَ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He wants, He would have created us all a one community on earth, all with the same mentality, all with the same style of thinking, so there won't be any arguments, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this diversity within us, which is very, very healthy diversity, isn't it? Because it makes people think, right? And gives an opportunity for individuals to actually explore. We're not robots living on this earth. We all have a particular opinion. And as I said, debating and having a dialogue is actually encouraged. Yes, our imams used to practice it, our prophets used to practice it. Actually helps you psychologically. Yes? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us that opportunity. But He could have created us all with one particular view, like robots. Yeah, all the robots do one thing, right? Without us properly thinking about things. But no, He created this beautiful diversity. And the quality of argument is actually intrinsic in man's nature. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِلنَّاسِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ أَكْثَرَ شَيْءٍ جَدَلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and man is most of all given to argument. He was created, so he has the ability to actually have a debate, an argument, yeah, and a dialogue. Okay, so what's the goal of debating? Goal of debating is to reveal the truth. Yeah, if you embark on a decision to actually have a debate, you don't do it for the sake of actually debating. You got to reveal the truth, and also importantly, deepen your faith in Allah and please Him. Everything you do, remember when we talked about taqwa and shukr and stuff, everything you do has to be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes? Fi sabilillah. And so therefore, when you have a debate, it's so that you can actually reveal the truth. And also not to strengthen the ego or gain some upper hand just for the sake of debating. Some people just want to show off. Yeah, they want to show in front of others that they're actually debating others. And they want to show people that they have this particular knowledge. But it's all result of an ego, unfortunately. And you find in these particular verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says certain individual will also, they just have an argument just for the sake of an argument. He says that وَقَالُوا آلِهَتُنَا خَيْرٌ آلِهَتُنَا خَيْرٌ أَمْهُ مَا ضَرَبُوهُ لَكَ إِلَّا جَدَلًا. And he says, our gods are better. They say our gods are better, and they have said that just so that they can start an argument. But they don't really have the knowledge for the argument. They don't have the etiquettes for the knowledge. They just want to have the argument. Right? بَلْ هُمْ قَوْمٌ خَصِمُونَ. So there's difference between formal and informal debates. Yeah? And in a formal debate, there are rules. Okay? I don't know if you've been involved in university debates or in community debates. There are rules enabling people to discuss and decide differences. The interesting strategy, if you're going to be involved in a debate, and I highly, highly recommend, I know there are certain debating activities going on in Manchester by brother Hadi Al-Wardi, who's doing great work, but also encourage other people to actually get involved in doing debates and having dialogues within the community about really interesting topics, yes? But it's interesting that the best strategy to win a debate, if you're going to have a debate about, for example, the journalist Mehdi Hassan has quite a lot of debates, right? Recent debate was about is anti-Semitism, is being anti-Semitic Zionist or not, right? So if you're anti-Semitic, are you anti-Zionist or not, right? Something like that, yeah? There was another one about Saudi Arabia and all these things. But the strategy, if you want to practice for it, is you develop you develop your ability to play from either position with equal ease. So let me go back to my initial question about, or the debate topic about organ donation. So if I am passionate about organ donation is allowed, should be allowed, I should be an expert about organ donation is not allowed. Do you get that or not? So when I do workshops about debating, right, what I do is I tend to ask people a question. I say, okay, for example, if we're talking about debating, about organ donation, I say, who says organ donation should be allowed? The people who put their hand up, I tell them, you're going to argue against organ donation. So what are you talking about? We are for organ donation. I say, no. For you to master that debate, you're going to know your opposition's counter-argument. So you're going to be an expert from that. You see that? So try to be an expert in a lot of things. So if as Muslims we try to be an expert in many things that are perhaps against us. So for example, if you're debating a far-right person, right? One of the scholars did that recently. If you want to debate a far-right, we talked about far-right yesterday. You're going to be an expert about how amazing the far-right are. How good the far-right are. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah? You got to really try hard to prove to yourself that far-right the ideology is correct. Because once you do that, then you can master that particular argument. And of course, knowledge is so important. And some of us, I can't emphasize this, I really know individuals, and I think you do as well, that some people know it all. They think they know it all. Even in certain specialities, they say, no, that's not right. You know, when you talk to someone who's, you know, if you're a doctor, a medical doctor, and you say, no, I think this is, no, you don't know. But that's my specialty. No, you don't know. Okay, we don't know. Sometimes, honestly, I sometimes have arguments with certain people about certain things that I've done a lot of research on, and they've had hardly any encounter with this particular topic at all. But obviously they know best. Yes? And you just be like Ibrahim alayhi salam with Nimrud. You say, oh, okay. Sometimes there are people who are summun bukmun umyun, right? Their eyes is closed, their ears are closed, their hearts are closed. So you can't really get in. You know, when we used to have these debates with the Wahhabs in Saudi, right? I can't say that word, right? When you have that, when you used to, during the you know, when we used to go to Umrah and Hajj long time ago as well, they've reduced now in numbers, yeah? But when we used to have those debates, they had no idea what the hell's going on. You know, they had no idea. So it was quite an actually easy argument to have. But then they'll call the others and then just tell us to go away. But you know that he thinks he knows it all. When you try to prove him wrong, he just starts to call the others for backup. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. Again, you see, Allah, how many verses have I given you today, right? It's all talking about debating and dialogue. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says there are people who try to have a debate and argue, but they have no knowledge. بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. Informal debate is a common occurrence. Maybe you have it in your home or in a cafe or when you try to prove each other wrong. Yeah? But what I'm going to go into, inshallah, in the next few minutes, and inshallah we'll end, is I believe that between members of the community, husband and wife, parents and children, we need to engage in more dialogues than debating. Yeah? Debating is, I think it's more of yes, we have informal debates, yeah, not so successful, but I think we should change those informal debates into dialogues. You know what I mean? Let's keep the formal debates happening. So let's do more and more formal debates. We bring opposition, we bring a proposition, yeah? And we have, especially the youth, let the IUS do it. Maybe they're already doing it. Bring the two proposition, opposition together and let them have a debate, right? And let the audience vote for who they thought provided the best arguments. Yeah, it's really fun. It's really, really fun. I've tried to do it in certain places and universities, and it's really fun, right? But let's try to focus on dialogue for a bit and the etiquettes of dialogue. And of course, when you remember, if you're talking to your husband or your husband talking to the wife, or you're talking to your children, you got to start off with respect. If you start off with disrespect, or even someone in the community, where you're talking to someone in the community and you might have heard something about this individual, but you start off with disrespect through your style of speaking to them, right? Then of course you're really starting on in a bad way, right? And it's really causing issues. And I fear that at the end of this dialogue, things might happen, right? So therefore, what we must do is respect the other person. One of the scholars beautifully said that if you do not respect the other person as having the right to speak, yeah? You know, some of them, they just shut you down. But the other person has the right to speak, whoever they are. I don't care what they believe in, but they have the right to speak. And they have an intellect. You got to respect them. They have an intellect and they have the right to speak. Then you're an animal. Because an animal doesn't respect the other animal, right? And they don't have intellect and things like that. But if you don't respect the other person who has the capability of giving an opinion, you know, some people in the community are introverts. And you think they don't have an opinion? Of course they do have an opinion. They have an intellect as well. But you got to give them the opportunity. You got to be quiet. Be quiet a bit. So there are people who are radios. You just need to switch off the radio and give the other people opportunity to speak, yeah? You know about those people who just speak. It's just a monologue. Complete monologue, no dialogue. A measured voice. Of course, we don't need to, this is all very self-explanatory, isn't it? We don't need to shout the way we speak. And there are people naturally, they've got loud voices. Maybe you could tell them, look, you got a loud voice, mate. You know, just lower it down a bit. Yeah? We're not having a fight. You know, I've been there, I've seen it. Slightly you raise your voice, the other person will slightly raise their voice as well. And then slightly the curve will go up in terms of the volume. And both of them will, anyway. Attentive listening and avoiding interruption. Yeah, you know, it's just, you gotta listen. Not hear, listen. Yeah, attentive listening. And no, you stop them with the interruptions, keeps on interrupting. Let the other person speak, especially if they're introverts. Those people who are introverts don't have that ability to, not ability, but are not very confident to actually raise their voice. You got to respect that. Different people have different styles of speaking. Yeah? And of course, essentially, ikhlas to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember, you're all mu'mineen. Doesn't matter what their opinion is. It's all about having that complete ikhlas to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then importantly, I just want to focus on this particular issue of emotional intelligence. And I've been here before and I've spoken about emotional intelligence, so I'm not going to talk about it again. But for those of you who don't know about emotional intelligence is when you master your own emotions and the emotions of people around you. It's so powerful, my brothers and sisters. It's extremely powerful, right? That we all need to be emotionally intelligent. And what I'm going to do I might have taken a bit longer today, so forgive me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick EI test. It might be an absolute flop. Never done this before, right? So I'm going to do a quick EI test, right? I'm going to ask around 9 questions. I want every single one of you to answer yes or no for yourself. The more yeses you'll answer, the higher your emotional intelligence. And the higher your emotional intelligence, the more controlling you are of your own emotions and the emotions of people around you. Yeah? So let's go through this. I want you, if you want to do it right in mobile or in your head, just keep on answering yes or no. The more yeses you do out of the 9 or 10 questions, the higher your EI. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the first question is, do you easily sense when you're going to get angry? Yes or no? Not loud, please, because fadiha if you say loud. Do you find it easy to describe your feelings? Are you a very patient person? Remember, very patient, yeah? Do you accept critical comments without becoming angry? Yeah. Just be critical as well, yeah? On yourself. Don't just keep on saying yes. You're just doing it for yourself. There's no one to show your ego. You know, this is critical of yourself. Do you actually really accept critical comments without getting annoyed about it? Can you sense when someone else's mood changes? This is now going to other people. It was first you, now going others. Can you sense when other people start to change them? Maybe when you're having a dialogue with them or you're having communicating with them, you can see they start to change a bit of their mood. Can you sense that? Do you have the ability to sense that or not? Is it a yes or no? Does it genuinely bother you to see other people suffer? Believe it or not, there are people who do that. Yeah? If you don't like someone and they've had a car crash or they've lost their job, yeah, it's good. Do you find it easy to share your deep feelings with others? Are you open about your real feelings? What are you? Are you going through depression maybe? Are you going through sadness? Is there something going on in your life? Would you share it with others? Are you open about it with other people in either family or the community or not? And finally, do you find it easy to make friends? Yeah? Just go through this very quickly again. I'll give you like 30 seconds and just try to assess whether it's mostly yeses or no, and count how many yeses you have. The more yeses you have, the more emotionally intelligent you are. Okay. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. So the dialogue between husband and wife, yeah, we've taken a slightly longer time today, but forgive me, inshallah we'll finish very soon. A dialogue between husband and wife. How should a dialogue between husband and wife occur? So men usually don't express their emotions. This is really interesting, by the way. You know, when you think about that, it's actually true. If a man is going through depression or a man going through mental health issues, they don't usually express their emotions compared to a woman. The studies have shown, yeah? Emotions cannot be ignored. This is really interesting. Research suggests that suppressing your emotions, yeah, deciding not to say something when you're upset is actually called expressive suppression, yeah, can lead to increased stress levels. If you just buckle it up in there, right, and won't take it out, right, and don't speak to someone about it. We're going to talk about depression on the last night, inshallah. Then it can cause even further issues. Studies have shown that conflicts about money and poor communication lead to unhappy couples. So it's poor communication. You don't know how to communicate with each other. Now the problem with the issue is that both sides, husband and wife, need to listen, not hear. Yeah, just need to listen. Sometimes that, especially women, want to be heard. You know, so they talk. Yeah, especially if she's an introvert, she can't talk much outside, so she comes and talks to you a lot. You got to try to hear, even at least pretend to hear her. Yeah, and just think about something else and listen to her. But you got to listen. Yeah, no, seriously, you got to listen what she says. Yeah, I'm particularly not very good at this. But men try to fix things. So let me give you an example. If a wife has gone out you know, she just came back and there was huge amounts of traffic, right? We don't know about this issue called empathy, right? We don't know how to empathize. So she's come back and she said, oh my God, it's so raining. I've had such a really bad day. There was so much congestion and things like that. A husband who's not emotionally intelligent at all, who cannot empathize, will say the following. He will say, how many times have I told you to not, you know, I told you to use the navigator. I told you to use Waze, you know the app Waze, to try to take the short route. How many times have I told you? Right? He doesn't know how to empathize. However, the emotionally intelligent husband will say, I really can't imagine the difficulty you've gone through. Yeah? It's true, it's true. This is empathy, right? I can't really imagine the difficulty that you've gone through so that you can go through these issues. It's powerful, brothers and sisters. It really is powerful if you try to empathize. But we try to fix things. So we come up with a solution. We'll come up with a practical solution. And we say, well, why didn't you fix it by having an app that shows you the way? Yeah? So dialogue between parents and children. So this is also very interesting. Have you ever yelled at your spouse or child after frustrating day at work, or perhaps if you're been at home and you've been stressed and then they come from school and they're hyper and stuff like that. A frustration that had nothing to do with him or her, you know, when you just lay it all out on your children. That's what psychologists refer to as emotional leakage. So you leaking all the emotions you have to your kids, yeah? So what we're going to do now is there is a really interesting book called Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child by John Gottman. And he has these 3 do's and 3 don'ts, and inshallah we'll finish. So he says the first do is you must recognize negative emotions and opportunity to connect. You know, if they've been angry, the child has a negative emotion, right? Or they're sad and whatever like that, then you've got to recognize this emotion and say, you know, I'm really sorry that you feel sad. You know, what is the problem here? Have a conversation, have a dialogue with them. This is the art of dialogue. Have a dialogue. What is the problem? Yeah? Don't punish, dismiss your child for being emotional. Why are you being angry? Why are you being sad? Why are you being... Emotions are natural, especially for children, right? So don't punish them for having an emotion. Number 2, do's, is do help your child label their emotions. So for example, you say, I can't sense you're getting upset. I can sense you're getting upset. Or it sounds like you're really hurt. These are important phrases. Don't trivialize them, yeah? Actually gives them some sort of ease in their heart. Don't convey judgment or frustrations. Yeah, don't just judge them. Why are you being hurt like this? Is it because of this and that? You know, you try to be a master of their life and know exactly what's going on in their life. And you start to judge them about certain issues. Is it because you saw your brother do this? Is it why? You know. Number 3, do set limits and problem solve. Remind them that all emotions are acceptable, but all behaviors are not. There's a difference between behavior and emotions. And don't underestimate your child's ability to learn and grow. Yeah? We sometimes put them down. And this is what I mean by having that dialogue between a parent and a child. You just got to respect their point of view. Yeah? You just got to give them that power to speak. How many of us, as parents, actually sit down with our kids and listen to them? You know, again, it's just all about listening. All about the art of dialogue is all about listening as well, isn't it? Yeah? Especially with kids as well. Okay, so we want to conclude very quickly. We lack the correct skills and etiquettes to have a debate. Main difference between debate and dialogue is in dialogue you're open for criticism. We reveal many verses of the Quran about debating. The goal of debating is to reveal the truth, to deepen one's faith in Allah. There are formal debating, which has rules. The strategy is to develop one's ability to to play from either position. Informal debating, there's no rules and it's quite spontaneous. Between members of the community, husband and wife, children, I believe that we need to engage more in dialogue than informal debating. Etiquettes of debating includes respect, measured voice, emotional intelligence. Dialogue between husband and wife must be emotional intelligence. Really focus on these particular issues. You know, these are Islamic, rooted in Islam, right? And one day I came here and talked about emotional intelligence in Nahj al-Balagha. Yeah, and Nahj al-Balagha talks a lot about emotional intelligence, but it's labeled differently. Yeah, if anyone was alive at that time. Dialogue between parents and children, and we talked about the 3 do's and do nots. And of course, again, you know, we talk about dialogue and we talk about debating, and we're trying to raise this Hussaini community, aren't we? When we remember about Abdullah al-Hussain, we try to think about the times when you know, he spent a lot of his time in trying to debate and have a dialogue with individuals to try to really spread the real message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the beautiful dialogue. And by the way, Imam Hussain alayhi salam Ashura, while he was going towards Al-Kufa, and he had lots of debates, lots of conversation and dialogue with individuals who tried to take him away from that line. But he always had that respect to individuals, always welcomed other people's opinions. And through this wonderful, amazing gem, and always I end with this, that remind everyone that we have gems of Imams. Right? And this is an opportunity where you all have come together, inshallah. we can learn from them, and also importantly perhaps shed a tear for the tragedy of Karbala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. We welcome brother Sayyid Ali Al-Hakim with a very loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.